Okay, so on our course homepage for It's Learning, today is Friday. We are starting with our morning meeting in social studies. So as soon as I'm done talking about what we're doing today, looking at missing work, those kind of things, we're going to get started with our social studies lesson. Then at 10 o'clock, we are going to be watching Pocahontas live. So we should finish our lesson and everything around 9:30ish. So that would give you 30 minutes to use the restroom. If you want to make a snack, whatever you need to do, you can. And then we will have a live meeting again with all the fourth graders that Mrs. Ferson and I have. So some of you were kicked off the video because you were deciding to do a silly chat, or you were talking in the movie and you were not muted. So I would not make those same choices today. So there's that. After our film, our movie should finish. We have about 40 minutes. So right before 11 o'clock, you have two assessments. You have a decimals and fraction assessment, which I'm going to go ahead and show you. It is asking about place value. It's asking you to write certain things as a fraction, certain things as a decimal. This is all review from what we did the past couple of weeks. You have a figurative language assessment as well, where you will need to pick what is going on. You're going to have a poem, those kind of things. You have done all of these things this week multiple times. So nothing new on your assessments, just review. If you don't know it, you need to do your best. I'm not here to help you with my work. I want to see what you have learned. So you will be doing those at your own pace. And then from 12 to 2 o'clock, Miss Allman, Miss Lambrecht, Mrs. Ferson, and I will not be available because we will be doing fourth grade supply pickup, which I showed you what our packet for the next 3 weeks after Thanksgiving break would be. Also, today, hopefully we find out whether we're going to be in person 100%, hybrid, or if we're going to continue e-learning through Christmas break. So I have already talked to some parents that possibly couldn't make it at 12 to 2. So there's a few friends that have a different schedule with when their items will be picked up. That's completely okay. And I've already talked with a few parents about that, okay? So any questions about what we're doing today? If you have a question, put a question mark in the chat for me, please. If you have a question, put a question mark in the chat for me, please. Axel, you have a question.
So from 12 to 2...
Your mom already talked to me. Yes. So your mom works till 2. She's coming at 2:05 to pick up stuff when she picks up your sister's stuff.
Yeah, but after we do, when you're not available, what do we do? We don't do anything?
You have makeup work time because some of you have 5 or 6 things you need to redo or turn in. If you don't have anything else to do, you have the option of Prodigy, Epic, Typing Club, or How to Draw a Turkey. And then you need to also work on your Genius Hour, okay? So this should take us to roughly the end of the school day, okay?
No.
Awesome. Now, Bella, you have a question.
So I have to be here until 4 something because both my dad and my mom work. My mom works until 5:30. My dad, I don't know when he gets off.
So that's something your parents are going to have to figure out to make sure you get your supplies. There's a kindergarten pickup today too, so I'm sure your parents have a plan on what to do, even if you're at FFY till 4 something, okay?
Okay.
Max.
Are we going to have school during Thanksgiving week?
Monday, Tuesday next week we have school, and then you're off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay?
Okay.
Carter Arp, 1 question mark is enough. You just need to be patient. I don't need 20 more, okay? Now, the 1 question mark, what is your question?
So, it's happening every time. You know how you assign me the video to watch? Assign the video for us us to watch, it will not let me watch the video.
So, on YouTube?
No, the one from...
Like the lesson video?
No, the one for reading. Because I did my stuff yesterday without the video, remember?
The lesson video? So then you should have let me know, hey, the video's not working, so I could have maybe double-checked to see if the video was approved through It's Learning.
I tried to message it, but the message said something like, I don't know.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to double-check the video. I'll let you know when it's ready, and you can rewatch it and make sure you get your work done right. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I have Eric Gabbard question.
Wait, what are we coming to pick up again?
Your mom will walk down from 12 to 2 to pick up. I will not see you picking up your materials. A parent will do that.
Oh,
Okay.
but what materials?
Axel,
Are we having specials?
library page I don't think is quite ready yet, so no, we will not have a special today.
Okay.
When the library page is ready, then we will start having library on Fridays, okay?
Okay.
Okay, awesome. End of questions for right now. We are going to first look at a yes ma'am from this past week, okay? So I'm going to pull up one. I believe we have... This was one of our text evidence, why leaves change color responses, okay? I'm going to go to responses. We're going to look at random responses of what we saw. I'm not going to show you names. I think sunlight, also water. This is a yes, ma'am. That means 4 sentences, restating the question, 2 text evidences, and then wrap it up. This did not meet it. Let's see what else we got. Just another sentence that did not meet it. One word definitely did not meet it. IDK doesn't meet it. I believe only one friend did this properly. So, whoops. Let me go to that friend. Oh, right here. Here is a response that's 4 sentences. It says, where do colors on the tree come from? That is restating the question. It has 2 text evidence. If there's not enough chlorophyll, they will lose their green color. During summer, there's a lot of sunlight, but in winter, there's not enough. Now, this person should have also written in the text or the author states, so they didn't necessarily have the full text evidence like we're looking for, but much better than everyone else. And then here's the wrap-up sentence. So if they don't have chlorophyll, they change color, and without sunlight, they also change color. This is the only friend in my class that did a yes ma'am format for this. That is sad. When we've done yes ma'am since August every week, at least once a week, Mrs. Cox has done it with you 5 times. You know what yes ma'am is. So let's go to our missing work so you can look at what we have here. These here are listed, and this will be posted on It's Learning for you to see, what I need to go back to. It is listed on the day and under the assignment, the one you did not turn in, okay? So after your assessments, you are working on the things that you're missing. Now, some of you turned the things in, but you wrote IDK or one word when it was supposed to be a complete sentence, so you need to redo it, okay? I'm going to be firm on this. Now, the yes ma'ams got much better towards the end of the week, so yes ma'ams you do not need to repeat, okay? So on Monday, we had 3 assignments we checked. Hyperbole, alliterations, yes ma'am. This here, if your name's listed, that means either you did lazy work or you did not turn it in. So you would go back to It's Learning under weekly lessons. You would click on November. This week, 16th through the 20th, you go to Monday, and everything you need for Monday is right here for you to click on and get started. If you are missing work on Tuesday, you do the same. Now, yes ma'am, everyone but Max answered that with a sentence or did not do it right. That was Monday's yes, ma'am. No one has to redo the yes, ma'am this week. But next week when we do yes, ma'am, I expect much better. Tuesday, we had Sharks. These friends right here that I have listed, Axel, Maria, Jonathan, Jaylee, did it right. They did it in yes, ma'am format. The rest of us did not. It looked just like the answers I showed you on the leaves. So normally I would have you redo it, but today I'm not. I'm going to give you a little grace. If your name is listed for rhyming or idioms, that means either you did lazy work or you did not turn it in. We are not accepting lazy work. So we expect your best work. Okay? Here is Wednesdays. We have hibernation. Now, hibernation, I have a whole lot more people that did it correctly. These people either did lazy work or did not turn it in. The people that, let's see. Yeah, I only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people turn it in that did it right, and 3 people turned it in with not enough effort. So a lot of people didn't even turn in hibernation. So hibernation, if your name is on the list for hibernation, you need to go back and do that one. Personification, onomatopoeia, and then this is simple, compound, and complex sentences. All this, remember, when you go, click on resources, weekly lessons, November 16th through the 20th. Here's all the days listed except for Friday for you to go back and work on what you're missing. And then here's Thursday, yesterday's work. Types of sentences, the people on this list either did lazy work or did not turn it in. Most of it's just not turned in or wrote IDK on things. This is figurative language poem, figurative language mix, and acrostic poem. So this will be posted as a link on It's Learning for you to get on and see what you are missing on the course homepage, okay? So I'll just go ahead and post it now. So I'm going to copy this. Well, let's see, copy link. We're going to go to It's Learning. I'm going to add it right under the Pocahontas right here. I'm going to write Cox missing work. I'm going to highlight it and link in that link so you can check what you are missing. Okay? So when you are you're done with your assessments and you need to work on some things, you just click on this link. It would pull it up for you. And you are then able to look at everything to see where your name is written. If your name is written, that means you need to work on something. The yes ma'am for leaves and the yes ma'am for sharks, you don't need to do. But if your name is on the yes ma'am for hibernation, you are redoing that one. Okay? So here in a moment, I'm going to take some more questions and then we're going to get started on our social studies lesson. I told you last week I saw a lot of people not turn in work or lazy work that I would give them grace, and I said this week I'm not doing that. So that's why there's a lot of names on my list. Just because we're e-learning does not mean that we can't do things. If your internet's not working because you're at someone's house and you have good internet at your house, guess what? When you get back home to your house, you're going to have to finish up your work. You can't just join the meets and not turn things in. That's not how school works. Okay? Now, if you have a question, please type a P in the chat for me. Carter, also, before I answer questions, I don't want to hear excuses. I expect the work to get done. So if it's about that, I would not even ask it. Okay, Carter, go ahead with your question.
So hibernation, if our name's on that, that's the only one we do?
For yes, ma'am. If your name is on all the other stuff, what I'm talking about here, let me show you again. On my screen share, this yes, ma'am, where it says everyone but Max, you don't have to do that one. But if your name's on the other stuff for that day, you need to do that stuff, okay? For sharks, if it says everyone but these 4 people, that means you don't got to do this one. But if your name's on the other 2 lists, you got to do those, okay? Okay, now I am with Jaylee. Jaylee Smiley, you got a question? Make sure you're muted, Carter. Thank you. Jaylee Smiley, you have a question?
No.
Okay.
I forgot.
Okay. Maria.
Why if you not see your name in the
That
list?
means you turned in all your stuff and that you don't need to work on anything for makeup work. Okay? When you finish all of your work, you finish all the things you're making up, not after each thing. When you finish all your list of things you're making up, send me a message on It's Learning saying, hey, I did all my makeup work, and I'll check it for you, okay? And then I have Max. So you have until the end of the day today. If I notice on Monday some people didn't turn stuff in, I'm messaging parents on Monday saying, hey, your child is missing 3 to 7 assignments from last week that they need to make up. Okay? So you have to, I guess, until the weekend, until Monday morning to get all your stuff done if you don't have it all done. Okay? Now, Max, you had a question.
I don't understand. Is the people that are on the list, if you see their name, are doing it, or is it if they're not on the list?
They are doing it. If your name is on the list, you are doing it. Okay? So that means if your name's on the list, I did not get work from you or I got not good work from you. Now, the one that says, yes, ma'am, everyone but Max, what it's saying is everyone didn't do it right but you on that assignment. Okay?
All right.
But that's the one that we don't have to redo because I said we wouldn't be redoing that one, okay? Because we looked at it, it was just a wake-up call saying that, hey, we need to do much better work next week on yes, ma'am, okay? So any other questions before we start social studies? No? Okay. So I'm going to go to camera. We're going to get started with our social studies lesson for today. Sorry, I didn't have my page ready just quite yet. We had just finished talking about colonies and Indian relations. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to talk about American Revolution to the Civil War. We're going to start with Tecumseh. Tecumseh is a Native American, okay? So I'm going to read. We're going to follow along. We're just going to be reading this lesson right here. And then we're going to be reading all the way through page 67, and that's it for today, okay? So we have like 10-ish pages that I'm going to be going through, and then you will be able to take some time, work on your makeup work, or if need be, get ready for our movie at 10 o'clock, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and read. It says, Tecumseh, leader and warrior. He lived from 1768 to 1813. Sell a country? Why not sell the air, the great sea, as well as the earth?
Pardon the interruption, but it is time for our first United Way raffle drawing. And we are raffling off the Cup of Cozy Starbucks mug. And the winner for this is Melinda Moffitt. You can come down and collect your basket. Well, we'll do the next drawing at 10:30. If you haven't purchased tickets and want to, you have until 10:30 for our next drawing. Have a great morning.
Sorry, we are doing raffle baskets for United Way, and there's some awesome prize baskets. So Mrs. Lena Weber was letting us know who won the first prize. Okay, anyway, back to our lesson. Did not the Great Spirit make them all for the use of his children? Tecumseh, a Shawnee leader, so he's in charge of the Shawnee tribe, said these words in 1810. He opposed the sale of land by Native Americans. At the time, white settlers were occupying the land in the east and pushing Native Americans south and west. Tecumseh dreamed of uniting all Native Americans. He believed settlers would be forced to deal fairly with a large, powerful Native American confederation. Tecumseh grew up in the Ohio River Valley. Around 1808, Tecumseh and his followers settled Prophetstown near present-day Lafayette, Indiana. The town's name came from his brother Tenskwata's nickname, the Prophet. Tenskwata was a Shawnee religious leader. The people of Prophetstown wanted to give up ways of life introduced by white settlers, such as using metal cooking tools. Tecumseh persuaded large numbers of Native Americans to join him. He fought white settlers, but he also disagreed with some of the cruel fighting practices of the Shawnee. Tecumseh learned that words were powerful weapons. He became a respected speaker and leader. In 1811, William Henry Harrison led an American army to Prophetstown. The battle that took place was known as the Battle of Tippecanoe. Tecumseh was not home, and when he returned, the town was destroyed. Tecumseh continued to resist white settlers until he died in battle in 1813. His death signaled the end of his dream and the end of a Native American resistance to white settlement in the Ohio River Valley. Okay, so that's a little bit about Tecumseh. The American Revolution in Indiana. It was July 1776. The Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, more than 50 men came together and said, "We declare that these united colonies are free and independent states." Each of the 13 colonies were governed by Britain. This made the colonists British subjects. Why were they declaring independence? Independence is freedom from being ruled by others. So the road to independence. So this is in July 1776. This is when the United States was not the United States at the time. They were under British rule, said, hey, we are now free and we are now a country of our own. You are no longer in charge of us. Obviously, Britain doesn't like that, so they're going to do something about it. The road to independence. Recall that 13 years earlier, in 1763, the British won the French and Indian War. This war had been very expensive. Britain needed money to pay its debts. A debt is money that is owed. The British government decided that it could pay its debts by creating new taxes. A tax is money that people pay to support the cost of the government. The British created a tax on sugar. They also passed the Stamp Act. The Stamp Act was a tax on everything printed, from newspapers to playing cards. The colonists who were forced to pay these new taxes grew very angry. King George III, the British ruler, did something else that angered the colonists. He issued the Proclamation of 1763, which drew an imaginary line along the Appalachian Mountains. He said that no colonist could live west of that line. The lands that were off limits included what is now Indiana. Colonists wanted to be able to move west to find new land. As British citizens, they felt they should have a say in the laws that affected them. However, British lawmakers refused to listen. Many colonists feared that they were losing their right to self-government. So in 1776, leaders from different colonies met in Philadelphia. They asked Thomas Jefferson to write the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration marks the time when the colonists broke free from British rule and declared their independence. However, some Americans and some British disagreed and wanted the colonists to remain under the control of the British government. So when we watch Liberty Kids, the show, this is this time period where people are wanting to declare freedom. And then there's that redhead girl. She's from England and she thinks that they should remain loyal to England. And so her and her friends sometimes really disagree. This is why. The American Revolution. The colonists began organizing and planning to fight for independence. They formed the Continental Army, led by General George Washington of Virginia. King George III was furious. He sent soldiers to the colonies. Their job was to stop the independence movement. The colonists were successful in small early battles, but they faced a strong British army and navy. Soon it looked as if colonists might lose. After a defeat in New York, Washington won a battle at Trenton, New Jersey. In 1777, the Continental Army won an important battle. The army defeated the British at Saratoga, New York. Seeing that the Americans could win, French agreed to help the colonists. The following winter was a terrible time for the Americans. Washington and his army camped at Valley Forge in Pennsylvania. It was extremely cold. The soldiers did not have enough to eat. The revolution continued for 6 long years. Across the colonies, more people became involved. About 5,000 African American colonists joined the Continental Army. Women worked at home to help. Some even fought on the battlefield. Finally, in 1781, George Washington led his soldiers to victory at Yorktown, Virginia. The long war was over. So here is a timeline of the War for Independence. So fighting starts sort of in April 1775 in Lexington and Concord. They declare independence. They have a battle at Bunker Hill. They declare independence. Then they have another battle at Trenton, a victorious battle at Saratoga. And then in 1781, they win the war and they become their own country. The Revolution in Indiana. While most of the fighting during the Revolution was in the colonies in the East Coast, there was also some action in the territory to the west. The British knew that this territory was not defended well. However, they needed Native Americans there to help, such as the Shawnee. The British had a base at Fort Detroit, in which is now Michigan. Fort Detroit became a major supply center for British troops in the region. The British commander at the fort was Henry Hamilton. Hamilton met the Miami and the Potawatomi people. He dressed in clothing similar to what they wore. He was friendly and gave people food, supplies, and weapons. He then convinced them to use their new weapons against the colonists. The Native Americans raided settlements in Kentucky along the Ohio River. George Rogers Clark wanted to stop these attacks. He gathered a group of about 175 men. His plan was to capture forts located along the Wabash and Mississippi rivers. Clark and his men planned to use the forts to stop the Native American attacks. Clark and his troop were successful, and Clark was even able to convince the Native Americans in the area to stop helping the British. Eventually, the British commander Henry Hamilton left Fort Detroit with his troops. They followed the Wabash River across Indiana towards Fort Sackville and Vincennes. In December 1778, the large British force easily defeated the small group of American soldiers Clark had ordered to guard Fort Sackville. Okay. We're actually going to stop at the end of this lesson, I think, to give you a little bit more time. So, ending the fight in Indiana. Clark soon heard about the loss of Fort Sackville. He also learned that Hamilton was planning an attack that would sweep across Indiana and capture Kentucky. Clark did not want that to happen. A winter attack would be difficult due to challenges of the weather, but it would be unexpected. Clark wanted to surprise the enemy, so on February 5th, 1779, Clark and a group of men, more than 100 men, set off from Kaskaskia for a 180-mile journey to Vincennes. Clark's men encountered snow and ice. Cold rain caused rivers to flood. Sometimes they had to cross rivers, wading waist-deep in the icy water. They came close to running out of food. The Americans were exhausted by the time they reached Vincennes in February 23rd. In Vincennes, Clark's strategy started with gathering information. A strategy is a careful plan. A French hunter gave Clark information about how the fort was defended. Clark's strategy was to convince the British that his force was very large. He told his men to wait behind a small hill and wave flags as they marched around. The British on the other side of the hill saw only the flags. They thought as many as 600 men were attacking. The Plankashaw, part of the Miami, and Kickapoo sided with Americans. Even with this help, Clark's force was greatly outnumbered, but the British did not know that. Fighting began on the night of February 23rd, and Americans fought so well that Hamilton surrendered, or gave up and agreed to stop fighting. On February 25th, so 2 days later, he's like, okay, I surrender. Hamilton and his officers were amazed that when they left the fort to meet Clark and realized how few men had defeated them. Okay? So, that's the end of our social studies lesson. I'm going to go back to our meet. I'm going to stop recording.